Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. 9.5 Weeks is a 1986 erotic drama film that was directed by Adrian Lyne, and it stars Kim Basinger and Mickey Rourke. The movie is a significant departure from a much darker toned novel that it was based upon. The storyline for the film goes that Elizabeth McGraw, who works in an upscale Manhattan art gallery, is trying to get back onto her personal footing following the divorce from her husband Bruce, who, by the way, she is still on very good terms with. Although not a prudish girl about sex, she doesn't think about it all the time, unlike her sex-obsessed best friend and coworker Molly. There is an immediate mutual attraction when Elizabeth meets a high-stakes Wall Street man named John Gray. Although at first being cautious, Elizabeth does enter into a relationship with John following a grand gesture on his part, despite not really knowing anything about the man at all. That caution returns when John starts to push her sexual boundaries. She begins to trust him more and more, and her undeniable attraction to him. As their relationship progresses, he has her cross one more sexual line after another, shocking her at first, and then she would succumb to each, raising the questions whether the crossing of any specific lines will end up destroying their relationship, especially because he doesn't open up about any other aspect of his personal life, and whether or not crossing any of these lines will have a long-term effect on her personal psyche. In the book, it's quite different. John engages in criminal behavior, and he coerces Elizabeth into committing violent acts herself. The book leaves an increasingly permissive Elizabeth in mental anguish, and he ends up taking her to a mental hospital, never to return to her again. The movie ends on a very somber tone, and there's no mention of the psychiatric breakdown that John inflicted upon her, though her mental anguish is frequently implied, especially near the end of the movie. The director, Adrian Lyne, used emotionally manipulative tactics on Kim Basinger during the shooting. He did this to elicit the performance that he wanted from the somewhat new actress. Basinger later criticized him harshly for doing this. One of the things he did is he separated and didn't allow Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger to talk to each other off set. The two were kept isolated from each other, and Lynn would tell Basinger rumors, all intended to make her like or dislike him so that they would carry out that attitude in the scene. He would offer Rourke performance notes, but he wouldn't give Basinger any in order to keep her unnerved. In a very unusual and expensive move for the production, along these lines, he shot the film sequentially so that Basinger's actual emotional breakdown over time would effectively translate to the screen. They used quite a few body doubles in the shooting of the film, but there's also a lot of Kim Basinger that was not a body double. It's impossible. You can see her without clothes on in many scenes. They shot a lot of film for this movie that never got to the big screen. Kim Basinger actually owns quite a bit of deleted scenes that MGM thought were very psychologically damaging to audiences, so they cut them completely out. That footage has never been made available for public viewing. Demi Moore tried to audition for the lead role, but the director just didn't find her worldly enough at 21 to play a divorced art gallery curator. Later on, the two would get together and work on the 1993 movie Indecent Proposal. Jacqueline Bisset was also asked to play Elizabeth, but she declined this role due to the amount of nudity in the script. Terry Garr, Isabella Rossellini, and Kathleen Turner all lobbied hard for this role, but they all lost out to Kim Basinger. Now, it's said that Mickey Rourke lost 30 pounds before the filming started. He does look amazingly skinny in this film, especially when you contrast it to the way he looks today. In March of 1984, there was a press announcement from Hollywood about this film going into production on April 16th. 3 days before production was scheduled to start, the original backer, TriStar Pictures, completely pulled out. This made the film seem doomed, but within 48 hours, it was rescued by another company, PSO Productions. Shooting began on April 30th, 1984, and it wrapped August 10th of that year. A year after the production was done, Hollywood rumors said that the film might never be released. In February of 1986, almost 2 years after the completion of principal photography, the film opened to wide release. Kim Basinger credits this role as the one that really made her a true actress, and she feels like it's one of her best films ever. But she didn't feel that way at first. When she went to the audition, it was completely grueling. She was called upon to act like a prostitute that was groveling for money in a real elaborate sexual game that was devised by the male protagonist, John. That scene was to have been in the movie, but was later cut. Basinger ended up leaving the audition crying and feeling completely humiliated. She went ahead to tell her agent that she never wanted to hear about that film again, and that she would definitely not do it, even if she was chosen by the director. When she returned home, she found 24 roses with a card from Mr. Lynn and Mickey Rourke. The director continued to pursue her for this part, and she eventually changed her mind and decided to take it on. Now, this film may not be for everybody. It's a very good film, but it sometimes pushes the limits of things that ought to be on screen. If you're one of those that's fairly daring, take a look at this film. You might enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.